Okay, let's see if we can have some better luck tonight. We seem to, well, software testing being what it is, we have lots of failures. Lots and lots and lots of failures. That's software development for you. If you're not failing, you're not coding, probably. That or you're stealing someone else's code and just putting your name on it. Okay, it's our test gear. Let's see our multimeter. Let's see if we're responding. We are in diode mode. That's good. And now we wait for people to turn up. Hopefully. Maybe we've scared them all off with the boring data capture stuff that we're doing. But, you know, someone's got to do it. And since I've got all the gear, I may as well. Okay, let's try and revisit where I was last night. So it looks like we've got 3437s to deal with. Let's see if we can make everything crunch to a grinding halt. Hey, Greg and Miles. Okay, oh that's right, we... Okay, so we've got 3437s up. And it looks like we're already hurting on the frames. Just going to see if I can change things a bit. Let's see how we go for the stuttering. Okay, looks like I was poking around on this one. So what have we got? A 1.44, 3437. A little out of focus. There we go. Hey Travis, by the way, thank you very much for buying the license. I saw you did make that purchase as soon as it was this morning, and I woke up and I was like, hey, Travis bought a copy. Thank you very much, Travis. Much appreciated. Hey, Fix-It Pro. Yeah, once we get into beta or beta status, then we will look at doing Mac and Linux. But for the moment, we're just pumping out. Well, I am doing Mac and Linux at the same time, but I'm only putting the Windows out at the moment for everyone else to use. I know, it's selfish of me, but what you gonna do? Nothing. Nothing you can do. You can boycott me. Okay, so we've got our ground plugged in. We actually need resistance mode for this one. Okay, so what we were trying to do last night when it was getting completely out of hand is we wanted to record the resistance values of the various mother chipsets, as in CPU, because different CPUs will have a different resistance, and we just want to be able to see what they are by holding them into different conditions. So we're going to edit the part. Let me know if it starts stuttering like hell. I mean, I can't tell sometimes if it's my mouse because it doesn't have a mouse pad, or whether it's the system that's just dying on me. I'm going to stick a mouse pad on here to try and eliminate that possibility. Oh, hi and bye, Barry. Alright, so... Okay, so we do have the 1.44 here. Hey, Alien Repairs. Welcome to Earth. So we want resistance. We don't have anything in there at the moment, but I might just check... Okay, there were a few extras thrown in. Performance seems to be okay. The frame rate's a little bit low, but it's surviving. At least I think it is. Yeah, you can see I added another board there. Oh, Barry, right, okay, my bad. Okay, so now let's see. Capture I wonder why it's doing that. No, well, I don't think 175 is actually correct. Yeah, I didn't think so. It's 82. And look, honestly, either side with this sort of level of meter is not going to make a difference. Ah, blast. Okay. So that's phase 2. We'll do phase 1 as well, even though in this case it pretty much really isn't going to make a difference. Unless I've got a broken motherboard. Okay. Alright, so that's the 1.44 done. Hey John, yes, you've obviously heard about the lockdown. It's okay here where we are. We don't get overly affected apart from the usual lack of toilet paper, but thankfully we don't have that problem at the moment. But we do have lockdown. Townsville's in lockdown, so we're basically in lockdown since we're effectively a far-flung satellite suburb of Townsville for all intents and purposes. Okay, so this is the 1.78. So again, edit part data. We've already created the condition before. We want the resistance. And let's see. So that's 49. We may as well just punch it in, we already know what it's got. Alright, there's a bug there. Interesting. I know why it's doing that. Because I've got the enable meter on, if I punch in a value by hand, the actual meter value will override it. So now that I've turned off that, it should, yeah, there we go. It's not so much a bug, but rather an overlap. So what I'll do is maybe when the enable meter checkbox is on, I will inhibit the ability to type in values. So I'm just going to make a note of that. Just small things like that make the difference between open source software versus something a little more commercial. Okay, let's see. When checkbox is on for meter, inhibit text input. From keyboard. Okay. It's pretty primitive to write it down on notes like this, but it works for me. I find if I've got them on little notes like that, if I wake up in the morning and I'm ready to start coding, then I've got that there to remind me that that's a bit of a thing I've got to sort. Hey Walter. We're still in alpha, but we're getting there. Alright, so that's the 1.7. Yep, that was okay. Okay, this one here, what are you? You're another 1.44, so we've already got your data. This is 165, that doesn't count. I've got a few 34, 37, so I'm just going to... Another 1.44. You're kidding me. It obviously doesn't want to let me have anything other than 1.44s. Yeah. What have I got over here? These aren't necessarily fixed, but I think the CPU values will still be okay. Another 1.44. Wow, 1.3. I've not seen a 1.3 before. Actually, I have. This one. Okay, so this is a 1.3 4 gig. Travis, no, it's not integrated into FlexBoard View. Rather, what it is the meter software is separate, but I make the meter software dump the current meter line out to a little file. And it's just a little text file that contains the basic information of what it just read, like 49 ohms or something like that. You can see it when it comes up. If you watch this area here, as the meter value comes up, you'll see it's like an ohm symbol in there and stuff like that. So it's just simply picking up that information out of the file and interpreting it itself. That way, it means that I don't have to update FlexBoard View to suit new meters. Instead, it's easy for people to write software for the meter that will then dump the file data into the file, and that way, they can make it compatible with FlexBoard View without me being involved. Well, sorry to hear about that pain. That's really not good either. Alright, so we need a new condition. This is a 1.3 gigahertz. Hope this doesn't stuff up on me. 4 gigabyte machine. Alright. It's a primitive old way of doing things, just dropping data into it's a blind drop type scenario, and then FlexBoard View will go along and it'll pick up that file, it'll delete it, and then your meter software will see that that file has been deleted or it's no longer there, and then write a new one. And so you just sort of do that. The downside is that the file that is put down could be stale, so you really need to, well, from FlexBoard View's perspective, you need to discard the first one and then wait till the new one comes up. But these are minor things that I have to worry about. Alright, so this is a 1.33, and it helps if okay. Okay, so you can see the meters dumped in 63.57 ohm. And it helps if I focus. Takes a bit of getting used to. Okay, so 63.47, whatever. And the same thing again. And you can see here we've got the data values are ready to be sent up to the server. So we just submit them. Okay, they should be locked in now. Now this data here that you can see is 175, that doesn't seem right. That is because that's the default condition. So for things like default basically means for all. So really I might just sort of make default something like an average of all the, in this particular case you'd have to do it manually. There's no algorithm I can make that would produce good values under default. So under default, resistance, so let's just call it, well, we could just actually make it nothing, except the meters kicking in. Okay, so we're just rendering it back to nothing. And that one's already at nothing. Okay. Alright, so you can actually see that data we've put in is now on the server. You can see under the resistance, and you can see in the square brackets. Really, they are brackets. The round ones are parentheses, but anyway. You can see that data's in there. So we're already now giving people a resource that they can go, well, I've got this board, they can check the coil resistance and know whether they've got maybe a dead CPU or not. Let's see, Jamig, I have an old Flex when it was 70. Let's see, Jamig, you'll need to buy a upgrade, which is going to be quite a bit cheaper than the new FlexBoard license. So just send me an email to pldaniels@gmail.com, and I will check your license and then let you know. So. Alright, so you're welcome. Thank you for supporting me all the way back there, though. That was very nice of you. Back in the old days when Lewis actually did board repairs. So how's the overall performance of the frame rates going, considering that I'm really basically killing the machine with this? Alright, so that's the 3437 CPUs. That's pretty much the most I can get at the moment. Obviously, the more boards I have that are functioning, or boards that other people have that are functioning, we can all add in. Now, there's no way for me to... I'm not going to explicitly generate or deny or monitor the different conditions that people create. I'm just hoping, which is a bit of a problem in the first place, I'm hoping that people will be moderately sensible and actually check through the conditions available before they go and create more. I can very quickly just cull unwanted condition data out of the database. I can just flush it out, or I can cull data from particular people. I don't know who the people are specifically, but there is a unique hash identification that I can then just go by and say, look, this particular hash code is generating trash data, and just wipe them all out. Alright, let's get back to that 1425, because that was the one that we kept having major stuttering issues with. Okay, it looks like we've done that connector. We've done that connector. Okay, we haven't done the speaker. Having the ground line plugged into the board makes it much easier. Without that, you'd have to use the two hands, and that's a bit of a pain. Damaris, I'm sure your license is still valid, good sir. Have you emailed me about that? If you're not sure about your license, just email me and I'll check. If it's more than 2 years since you bought it, then you'll probably have to get the upgrade. Okay, we're in diode mode? We are not in diode mode. Mind you, Damaris, the amount you've contributed on here, I'm sure I can do a special deal. Very special deal. Okay, here we go. Time to punch in some data. Obviously ground gets nothing. That actually is explicitly coded into the system. That ground just is ignored. Hey Sonia, welcome. Okay, that all looks pretty good. What about you? Okay, it looks like we've got a lot of incomplete data there, so let's give this one a shot. Hey Keith, you're welcome. Greg, I haven't quite yet set up everything, but what's going to happen is the database on the server will keep a certain number of values, and then it will generate a running average and toss out any outliers and things like that. At the moment, all the data is being retained, but how much I actually send back, send down when you say when you download the OB data, that I haven't yet decided on. In some ways, I'm thinking of just sending it all down to the FlexBoard View software and then letting FlexBoard View process it how it wants. It kind of leaves, it's either way. I'm trying to decide. All right, what am I trying to do here? Other than embarrass myself, I guess. All right, so it's this non-connected section. And we're going to start on pin 3 there. Yep, there we go. Oh, and this is an odd and even one, so we are going to need to... There we go. Okay. Obviously, because sometimes you have connectors that all the pins are just directly, straight ahead, 1, 2, 3, sequential, and then you get others like the dual row connectors, and you need to use the odd and even. I mean, you can use it sequentially, but it's just harder because you've got to go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Whereas this way, you can just run up one run and then come back down the other. So it's much easier this way. Or at least for me, it is, and that's all I care about. Okay, next one. Is that ground? Yes, it is. Kind of deliberately pressing in hard on these pads so that I score them a little bit so I can actually see a physical mark on the pad. And that way, if I lose track of where I'm going, I can just go back and go, oh yeah. This is the reason also why I don't bother skipping pads in the software, like why I don't bother jumping over ground or anything like that, because if you do, I would have to keep looking back up at the screen and sort of going, oh, I've got to jump 2 more steps here, because I can't always tell when I'm looking at the board which pins are ground and which pins aren't. So instead, if I just simply go through the steps and let the software ignore the ones that are ground, then I don't have to focus so much on the screen. I can just focus on shifting this one by one. So it's a little bit of a waste in that respect, but at the same time, it also is much easier in the long run, really. Anyway, okay, so now we're back up to the top row. What are we on? Pin 2, which funnily enough is ground. So, yeah, like that. And then we've got a pair of NCs, but we're not going to know that. And another ground. I got to say, the new foot switch is substantially nicer to use. Okay, why do I see... Not sure why that just went... It's interesting. I think that might be not a bug in my software. Okay, and the trouble is now I've lost track of myself. Okay, so we've got to this. Is this third resistor? I don't think that's a bug in my software. I think that's a bug in the foot switch. And I see why. I've pushed it against something down here. Okay. Hey, Pernov. You're one off. At what point did I get one off? No, you're right. I can see because the pairings are wrong. Let's get back to pin 10, which will be, let's see, that's a ground. So it'll be this one here. We'll start back from here. Shouldn't be talking, that's why. Personally, it's Pirnov's fault. Essentially, that they're not balanced. I think that happened because of the fact that anyway, I think that happened because of the button on the OBS selector was being pressed. I feel like a factory worker here, slave. Okay, and everything else is ground. Yeah, Greg, what I've actually got to do is put it on a new board, and the new board will be big enough that my foot will hold it down. See, at the moment it's just my toe, and my toe just keeps pushing it slightly. I was looking around for a piece of board today, but I couldn't find anything I liked, so I just ignored it for now. Alright, let's send all this data up. Okay. Alright, there's a few values here that maybe don't make sense. Like this one here. And that one there. That may have been a case of I was going too quickly and it didn't give the meter time to settle. So we'll just go back and fix those up. Okay, 403. We'll just use this test point here since it's pretty easy to see it. See, it's the third test point right there. Yeah, so that's a mistake. And it would help if I actually, there, pin 11. What was the other one? There was another one in here that, oh, there we go. And that is over here. Yeah, just didn't have enough time to settle. I kind of jumped on it a bit too soon. And those two there will, when I upload them, they will correct my values. So that's the thing, is like, no matter how many times you submit a particular network, it will always overwrite your existing entry. You only get that one entry per net, so you can't pump the system much. No, you can't. Okay. Now, this being a 1425, I'm not really sure why I'm doing this, but I don't know. Sadomastic tendencies, I guess. Eddie, it won't really matter once my foot is on the same board as the switches, because my foot itself will not be sliding forward. I mean, yeah, I'm on carpet, so it's more just that the pressure of my toe pushing at an angle on the front of the switch. is driving it back towards a piece of junk under here. And the other thing is, if I didn't have the cherry switches on that board, it wouldn't have happened. It's just because I've got cherry switches on there. Okay, let's see, let's try this one. I might just zoom in a bit more. We're doing diode value, double checking. Maybe Velcro on the cover. maybe not. No. That's arching my foot back too much there. Okay, one. That doesn't make sense. Oh. Odds and evens. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. There are some things that you will get zero read on. Okay. Let's do this last one. I want to go back and check something there. Actually there. Yeah, I didn't think that was right. And that tip. So in there, that may be open. Okay, yeah, because that will need the little daughter board connected and we don't have that. So what is that? That's third pin. So in there. I know it's doubling up on a few of the values. Not sure what's going on there. For some reason that one likes to... I'm just going to start using the test pads for the moment. I think I'm having trouble making contact with these inner pin tops. My multimeter probe's probably less than ideal. And again... Well, I think I need to clean them because it's taken too long for the values to settle down. Yeah, Crazy Irishman, that is correct. Yep. It's on a database, on a server that I own. But once I'm happy with where everything is, then I will put a web front end on it. So anybody can just go along, query what board they want and get all the values. Miles, I think it might be just a case of it's just missing at the time. Yeah, maybe I'm lifting slightly as I'm preparing to do it. How about adding an option to disregard equal signs in the NEPs? WizKid, the software already does do that. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I've already made it that it will ignore a prefixed equal sign. Because I know that's something I've happened across quite a few times. So if we get PDF, let's just see if I can find it. No, where do I want that? Yeah, like here, this sort of thing. You should be able to just right click on that Great, now this time it doesn't work. Oh well. Well, the other thing you can do is you can just right click and drag and you'll get your network there. That's how you can... Christian, no, the Git one is not current at the moment. So you can just do this. Whoops. Yeah, so if you right click and hold and then release, it will search in there. These ones don't show up because they're not actually in the board view data. But that does. Hey Tony W. Because unfortunately you can't guarantee that the board view and the schematic are going to match up when it comes to naming. So having that right click and drag to select gives you that ability to at least bypass the issues. Because also the other problem can be is like maybe the equal sign is significant. It shouldn't be, but sometimes it can be. So yeah. I'm pretty sure I actually had at some point eliminated it, but clearly not. Crazy, no, that's all fixed up now. That is all fixed up. It wasn't that there wasn't a catch. It was a case of... What was the problem? It was a case of the internal vector holding the data didn't have any entries at all, so it was an empty entry, an empty vector list. And then what was happening is the program, I had a hard-coded @0 request in it for a reason that I can't quite remember, and that was what was actually causing it to crash, not the fact that it wasn't loading the file. Thankfully Valgrind found that one for me very quickly. Okay, odds and evens, diode. Do love that Valgrind software. Yeah, see my tip is not really big enough to get into those little holes. Sorry, not small enough. Damn it. So used to saying not big enough. Okay, here we go. 0.36. I think I just have to maybe take it a little slower overall. Grounds I can just jump, but then I'm not looking at that. Okay, I believe that is correct for those ones because they are externals. I've already got an idea how to make it easier for me with this in terms of knowing when I can punch down the foot pedal. What I'll have is, because I can see peripherally what's going on the screen, I will make it that it will either punch up a green light or for when it's good to go, or red for when it's still waiting for good data. Okay, so I think just there, we can just go back on that one. So shift tab, yay, finally use the other tab key. Yep, there we go. All of these paired ones, where you got P and N or such, they should all be very much the same value each. If they are different, then that's usually when you got problems. So these two should be very similar, so the next one should be a 0.36 or so as well. Yep, 353, so that's acceptable variation. If on the other hand you had something like 0.35 and 0.6, then you know you got problems. Okay, so this must be external USB one as well. PCIe, okay. That's interesting. They should. There's a bug there, right there. They should be reading open line. At least I think so. Yeah. Okay. So that should be. Now I have to find out what's going on there. There's always got to be something. Okay, we've got the last two over here. That's only just the one side. Okay. And then we now got to start down the bottom corner. The PC, but they are small, but they're not. What do you call it? They're not really. No, they're not strong enough for that sort of thing. Okay, this is gonna be fun because I've got to do this at an angle. Kind of cheating here. I'm using the test pads because they provide a better bite. I'm guessing these are going to be... Oh, they are. Okay. Looks like we had some dud data there. Getting real close to starting to kick the damn thing again. I'll get that. That's another bug. I'll just get that fixed in the morning. As you're probably not at this point, I'd say, if you do get a foot switch, it's more a case of if you find, say you've got a board that I don't have a variation, like things like CPU resistance values, things like that, stick it in. It's, shoot. Pardon me. So 1, 2, almost to the third. So where were we with that? 2, 3, 4. So the fifth one here, we're on this one here. The big problem that a lot of people are going to start seeing is that everybody has slightly different circuitry for their diode mode in their meter, and as a consequence the values will be different. So first thing people are going to not do is panic and go, oh my god, your values are all wrong, my meter's calibrated, I've got the best. And true, it's if a properly calibrated meter should all have the same diode mode measurements, but then the other problem is the board itself. There's enough variances in parts and manufacturing that you can expect anything up to about 10% variation I would say. Okay, that's that entire connector done. Now you may think that was a bit painful, but realistically, compared to doing it the other way, the call out method and stuff like that, I'd say it's pretty good. I want to go check these two values. I have a feeling they're supposed to be OL. I'm pretty happy if we're at the point where Yeah, okay, they're supposed to be OL. I'm pretty happy if we're at the point where OL and 0 kind of get mixed up, at that sort of bug level now. Okay. It's actually wearing my leg out. It's wearing my leg out because the switch is too high. When I get the board, I should go get the board tomorrow. When I set it up properly, it will actually be a lot more comfortable to do this sort of thing. Let's see. Yeah, Greg, that's the other thing is, and that is why I think for the default board readings, the ones that we just put in by default, I think that should be plain boards only. No attachments, nothing. It should just be plain boards. I think that is something that needs to be kept and honoured, so to speak. And then if people want to do readings with the daughter board connected or with something else connected or keyboard connected, that is where you would use the condition option in the actual data. So say for this here, I don't know if is that keyboard? That's keyboard. Okay. So for this, you would create a new condition which is keyboard installed or keyboard plugged in, and then put in the values for that. It just makes it easier to be able to know that everybody is going to be working from a plain board as the default situation. Yeah, absolutely plain. Yep. AMC Rams and Steve B. Jan Roberts here. Good to see you. The pedals are working good, except I just haven't got them configured properly. They're a little bit, a little bit awkward to use at the moment because I need to set up the board. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it that the pedals are slightly lower than where my foot would rest. So like there'll just be a bit of a step. The pedals sit down in a step, and then I can not have to lift my foot so much. Tilt it back because that's what's causing me the pain in the front of my shin. It's like, man, you got to do hard work like that. I think I might pick up a couple of these values here. You can also just do single entries, and this will be, they'll go in as defaults. But you can't use the multimeter input with that though. But say like this here, resistance, so I'm going to have to read it. So yeah, resistance is what we want. Okay. Where we go? This one first. What are we reading? 2.2 ohm. We'll call it 2 ohms. Okay, that one's also 2, which I'm not surprised about. That one's also going to be 2. Okay, this one's a little different. That's 1.7. .7. Yeah, Steve B. Yeah, as Mikhail Billman just said, we have enter to actually submit the values. We have shift tab to go back, and then we have tab to jump. Uh, yeah, so you could actually just get away with one foot pedal. I mean, 90% of the time I'm only using the one, but I wanted to see whether I would actually use three. But at the moment, it's primarily one. All right. Thank you, Joseph. What's the time now? Alright, it's past midnight. I've got a bug to fix. I think it's certainly working a lot better than it was last night even. And the nice thing is that it hasn't killed my system performance too much, so I know I have actually managed to make a reasonable degree of optimization improvement. Tony, I'm just going to set it up properly. Like I said, it's only because it's a bodge job at the moment. It was merely a bodge job so that I could see if it would even work. I need to get this back to the customer too. So it's just that I don't get too many working 1425s around. Let's see, I'll just pull this thing out. Yeah, so this is why it's a bodge job. Okay, it's a good 2 inches that I've got to lift up my foot. These are the buttons that are still hanging off it from the original OBS switcher configuration. That's what was being hit when it kept coming up for FFFFF. It wasn't because it died and F to pay respects or anything like that. It was just because it was pushing up against that. So I'm just going to knock these off, put it on a proper board, and I'll show you guys when I've got it done, and then you can all like go, oh, right, yeah, we see how that works, instead of thinking I'm a completely incompetent person. Oh god, troll drums. Looks like someone who could be trouble. Alright, well, I am out of here, so I'll go fix up those 2 bugs, that open line, or over limit rather, and what was the other one? See, I've already forgotten what that other bug was. Let me have a look. When checkbox... Oh, okay, it wasn't a bug, it was an overlap. Checkboxes on, don't accept the input from the keyboard. Feature to have. Okay, I'm out of here. You'll take care. I'll see you next time. And remember, if you want to get the FlexBoard cheaper now, buy it now, because the price is going up once this becomes an official release. Okay, that'll be the new financial year. I've got about 24 hours left of the new financial year. So, sorry, the old financial year. And once we roll over, time will be running out. You'll take care. That's 179, by the way, Travis. Yeah. Okay, out of here. See yous.